What zodiac sign do you think Dwight is from The Office? I have obviously come to my own conclusions, hence the video. And I think Dwight is a Capricorn. Allow me to flesh it out. So first of all, let's quickly get an overview of Capricorn and Saturn, right? So my notes are over here because otherwise I will just ramble. Some of the common significators for Capricorn is the elements of time, death, reliability, being highly dependable, being disciplined, being mature, being very serious. Saturn also represents being an outsider, being opposed, alienation, oppression. Also can be indicative of depression, distance and separation. So I will go over this list again and how so many of these qualities can be applied to Dwight and can be observed via watching The Office. Also, a caveat, I fucking love The Office. I think it's a great show. It's hilarious. It was my comfort show for a long time. I rewatched it like... I just had bare gloss in the corner of my mouth. So, let's talk about Dwight. First of all, like, he's quite strange, oppositional, alienated, right? Like, he's quite bizarre. And lots of his thinking can be very black and white. It just is or it isn't. Now, we can deduce that to like some kind of spicy situation. But also, I think one of the main phrases that are often used to describe Saturn or Capricorn is boundaries and limitations. And I think with Dwight, this it is or it isn't, this boundary, this threshold, it's very evident for him. Like, he either understands something or he simply doesn't. He doesn't want to, or he thinks A and so B therefore follows, right? Like, everything is quite ordered and linear in the way that he perceives things to be, even though sometimes they can be relatively strange, right?
I run to the bathroom. Will you save my place?
Sure. No, you will not.
Excuse me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you raised in a household with no consequences?
Okay, so that's like the thinking, right? To some capacity. Not always, but like mostly Dwight is very like straightforward. Dwight can seem like, again, like oppositional, right? He can seem kind of cold. He can seem kind of distant. Dwight really gives the energy of like, no new friends, no new friends. Like, I came to work. I didn't come here to be pally. Like, we're not brethren. I don't really know you like that. I don't even really like you like that. Highly indicative of like Saturnine energy. Like, this is not play, this is work. And to me, this like antisocial, again, oppressed, oppositional, alienated energy is very Saturnine. So this like antisocial energy, which we can also just relate to like someone seeming cold, that's very Saturnine. And Dwight sometimes seems kind of cold and relatively antisocial. Like, he doesn't really care. In the early seasons anyway, like, he doesn't really care what's happening with the group. He just wants to he just wants to assert his power or his influence, right? So that's one thing. Okay, to like double down on this point like a little bit, Saturn was our furthest outer planet before the outer planets were discovered. So that is a massive oh my god, bro, Mercury retrograde is coming for me right now. The fact that Saturn was our furthest outer planet is indicative of the fact that one of Saturn's significators is distance and separation. And so Dwight can often be found kind of distant from the group, emotionally distant from the group. he will rally together if he needs to, but he's not afraid to throw people under the bus if it will bring him to where he wants to go. And one of the other like characteristics often applied to Capricorn, at least from Valens, like, is ruthless. Capricorn can be kind of ruthless.
He'll die.
Anyway, let's move along. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 like characteristics of Dwight that can be quite obviously attributed to Capricorn. The first of them is like antisocial, being cold, being distant. The second is Dwight lives on a farm. He's a farmer. Saturn rules a few materials, and one of them is soil. It's an earth energy, so it's very much so like fertile ground for building or growing something fruitful. So I think the fact that he works on a farm and Saturn rules the soil is pretty cool. Thirdly, Dwight, he holds order and hierarchy in high esteem. These are things that he governs. He is governed by the idea that order and hierarchy must be maintained, even though he doesn't sit at the top of this food chain. He wishes to, he longs to. It's a burning desire that's ever present in Dwight, except when he's like wildly depressed. Order and hierarchy can't be skipped. They can't be ushered along. These are major principles to Dwight. We see it in loads of occasions where like, I don't know, maybe like the office aren't really listening to something that like Michael has to say, or Dwight has co-signed someone, right? And they have something to say, so he'll rally the office to like listen up, pay attention, take heed. Heeded. I fucking love that joke. Fourth, Dwight has a very natural authority. This one I really enjoy, and I like it for a number of reasons, because we see it in a number of ways. He isn't really able to exert his authority over most people in the, like, he tries to. No one's really having it. Like Kevin isn't really having it because like they can't parlay at the same level. Oscar isn't having it. Oscar's just not having it. Angela's not having it. Pam isn't really having it. Jim's just gonna make a joke of it. So what? Dwight has a natural authority. In what ways does Dwight have a natural authority? How are they expressed? Often we see when Dwight has interacted with babies and young people, not even young people, babies and dogs. Natural authority. He has a commanding presence to some degree. It's not like super intense, but we see it happen where like it's like he has a magical capacity to subdue, you know, or to calm, or to bring things into order. That one I quite enjoy. And the fifth one is that Dwight has a natural affinity for weapons and tools, and he's very okay with using brute force. I'm thinking about the time that he wanted to duel with Andy, and he was like, what is going to be your weapon of choice? In addition to that, we see him hiding weapons all over the office, and he maces Roy in the face, and he cuts off the first aid doll's fucking face and puts it on his face. So he even kept the knife in on his cuff. So he has a large affinity for weapons, and this brings me into my next objective. Okay, hear me out. This is more evidence as to why I believe Dwight is a Capricorn. If we look at Capricorn in regards to its dignity across the planets, we start to make a very nice image, or a fuller, more colorful image. And what I mean by that is, hold on, drink some more water. So dramatic. Okay. So what I mean by that is we have our domicile, our detriment, our exaltation, and our fall, right? We know that starting, let's start at our domicile. Okay, so Capricorn in its domicile knows how to endure despair. Capricorn knows how to create building blocks from their struggles. This is why we consider Capricorn to be the fucking goat. You endure some shitty stuff and then you move forward. You keep hiking up the mountain because there's always one that's taller or there's always further to go. But you endure to learn, to create. You want to create tangible building blocks to crawl out of your own imprisonment or inflicted imprisonment. So you need to build rungs on the ladder and climbing the corporate ladder. So Capricorn in its domicile knows how to endure, to ascend in their social status and or to ascend, period. Capricorn in its exaltation is... Capricorn in its domicile is ruled by Saturn, right? Saturn endures, it's hardship, it's painful, it's cold, it's dark, all that stuff. But it's not just that it's those things. Yes, it's those things. And through those things, you achieve more. You understand more. You have a more rounded perspective. You've experienced not just the good, also the bad. And from the bad, you can get the good. And there's a duality in this. I had a bad experience, but it taught me this. Or I had this really great experience and it also taught me this. Cool. So, Capricorn in its domicile, Saturn. Capricorn in its exaltation, Capricorn's exalted in Mars. And so, Capricorn in Mars has a great, urge to dominate and control. And they have, a very... So I feel like Mars exalted in Capricorn lends itself to Dwight's to his, I can't say it's a fascination, but it's definitely his collection of weapons. Weapons are indicative of Mars. Knives, blades, cutting, blood, bloodshed. That's all Mars energy, because that's warrior energy. You need a weapon if you're going out to battle. And Mars in Capricorn is not afraid to have a weapon or 2 or 4 or however many he ends up having in the office. His lust for authority is ever evident when he convinces Andy to sell him his car for a stupid price just so he can resell it. There's a Halloween episode. He's dressed as someone from Star Wars or something. I'm sorry, I don't know Star Wars. And he's whispering in Michael's ear, or not even, is he whispering in his ear? Or he's standing in front of him? But he has the hood on the side. And he's yeah, you should do it. You should fire Andy. Yeah. It's not subtle because it's so fucking overt, but there is a bid for control. In the few occasions when he does get a taste of control, he always ends up doing the most. That's Mars exalted. Exaltations often are often just everything to an extreme, right? Everything is just heightened. It's just this plus 100. It's extra as fuck. So Mars, the warrior, the soldier energy, in its exaltation is doing the fucking utmost. And we know Dwight knows how to do the utmost. Let's move along. So that was Mars in its domicile, Mars in its exaltation. That was Capricorn in its domicile, Capricorn in its exaltation. The moon is in its detriment in the sign of Capricorn. So the moon being in its detriment is basically a disconnection from the heart space. Dwight's not a super heart-centered person I don't know, Michael or Kelly to some degree, or Pam, right? These are heart-centered people. Dwight's not talking to you from the heart space. It's all very cerebral. It's all very crown chakra. It's all very Saturnine. So Capricorn in its detriment struggles to express what's really on their minds and in their hearts. I think an interesting caveat for this is, yes, the moon in the sign of Capricorn can be emotionally very cold. It can be, right? But it's guys, it's a fucking mirage, because Capricorn is a feminine energy, and we see this being played out in Dwight's character quite interestingly. Generally, he's pretty cold with everyone, but once he has an affinity for someone, he cherishes them, he wishes to keep them safe and generally protect them. It's giving very much Papa Bear energy. It's giving very much an older authority, an elder. It's giving very much Saturn. And so we see this happen with Pam and with Angela. Dwight doesn't really care that much about anyone, but when he gets close to Angela, you see him defending her often, especially in that episode, I don't know what the episode's called, or that scene where Oscar gets outed for being gay, and Angela says something like rude or snarky, and Oscar pushes past Angela, and Dwight is ready to fight. Dwight is ready to fight. I like that. He is. Dwight is ready to fight. Like, he was like wildly fucking swinging and kicking his feet and stuff. But like, he starts doing the most. Like, he can be fiercely protective of the people that he loves. Also with Angela, like in general, Dwight can be kind of straightforward. Like, he can be a straight shooter when it comes to like communicating. It's usually kind of like harsh and a little bit whatever that means. But when he has something emotional to express, because it comes from the heart space, because it comes from like deep in his feelings, it's not like shallow thoughts or things off like the surface, easy, right? But when we get a little bit deeper, those are the areas that he struggles with. Like, he loves Angela, and while he does try to get her back, he's like really fucking distraught for a while. I think I went on a tangent. Let's go back. Another example of Dwight in his heart space is like occasions with Pam, right? Like when he makes Pam his second in command, when he finally gets the position of manager, he tells her that he appreciates like her efforts, and that like she was a really great second in command and stuff. Or that time he gets a concussion, and like he's saying really kind things to Pam. You have to be allowed in. There's a gatekeeper that lives at the heart space, and Saturn is literally like the gatekeeper. This is not access for everyone. Not everyone gets a cosign. Not everyone gets an invitation. It's like handwritten invitation only. So I find that quite interesting about like the Capricorn in its Capricorn in its detriment, in general, right? Because Capricorn's a feminine energy. Capricorn can be very, very sensitive, but it doesn't show. They don't allow it to show. That would relinquish their control and their discipline and their stoicism. Capricorn's not having that shit. And lastly, Capricorn in its fall. Capricorn is in its fall in the, I was going to say the sign. Capricorn is in its fall in Jupiter. I like this example of Dwight's behavior to just explain Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn. So you remember that episode, what's it called? Is it Fire Safety Training? I think that's what the episode is called. And like, I fucking love this episode. I'm sure loads of people do. And Dwight like traps them in the office and starts a fire. Ryan started the fire. I think it's interesting because Dwight he has good intentions, and he tries to teach the office a lesson through discipline, through hardship, even through terror, fear. If that's not an example of Jupiter and Capricorn, I don't know. Jupiter, expansion, wisdom, beliefs, experiences that broaden your horizon. Learning in general, because Jupiter is opposite to Mercury signs. Jupiter is opposite to Mercury signs, and so learning is inherent in Jupiter. So Dwight tries to teach him this lesson, but he does it in the most like miscreant way possible. It's weird, and it's terrifying, and it's harsh. It's really, really harsh. He gave a presentation, and because no one listened, he started a fire and he trapped all of his colleagues inside. I tried to teach them something. They weren't really listening. So I thought I'd teach them another way, in a very practical way, in a way that was kind of dark. So that's a really nice example I like for Jupiter in Capricorn. Okay, so I outlined the domicile, the exaltation, the fall, and the detriment because it gives an overarching picture. All of these things contribute to Capricorn, because Capricorn, all of the zodiac signs never just show up in one way. They're not, it's not one dimensional, because we're not one dimensional. So you can adjust your lens depending on a number of variables. So there's that. I want to, this is like a side note, bare head action, itchy nose. Modern astrologers often conflate the zodiac signs with the houses. So if we go by this method, then the 10th house is Capricorn. The 10th house is our social status and our public life. But also, in our public life, it's not always pristine. Like, not for everyone, right? Like, it might be, but it also might not be. It just speaks of our public life. And Dwight's affair with Angela was a scandal. 10th house, one of the significators for the 10th house is scandal. I'm sure you can look at a bunch of celebrities who have energy in the 10th house, especially like malefic energy, aka the bad planets, Saturn or Mars, or like if they have like aspects from the malefics or harsh aspects to the 10th house, you might see that. So I feel like his affair with Angela, with the whole office knowing, like everyone was in on it. Everyone was in on it. So I think that's like a nice like highlight for Dwight is a Capricorn. Maybe he has his son in the 10th house. 10th house Capricorn. Anyway. So I don't know why, but these two quotes I really like. Beats. How does it go? Beats, Black Bears, Battlestar Galactica. Love that shit. Also, I saw this when I was watching a clip of like Dwight's moments earlier. The Learn Your Rules song. Rules is a rules, principles, boundaries, all of that shit is Saturnine. And when we talk about our family's history, our memories, our home environments, ancestry, that's all moon energy. That's all Cancer energy. And Cancer's sister sign is Capricorn. So I think it's interesting that he denotes that there's 40 rules that all Shroot boys have to follow. And the song goes, learn your rules. You better learn your rules. If you don't, you'll be eaten in your sleep. Like, it's so Saturnine. So I just want to end by reading this quote that I wrote that rhymes. I thought I had two. Oh, I do have two. Okay. So Saturn will tolerate no one else's authority. He is an authority unto himself. He is a true rule maker. The taskmaster. That's often a word I heard a lot ascribed to Saturn, the taskmaster, because, well, he is. And being an authority onto oneself, like, I don't know if you've met many Capricorn or Aquarian people. Heavy, more so on the Aquarius because it's the masculine energy and it's very rebellious. It's like Aquarius is like the rebel against tradition, but Capricorn energy is more traditional. It's earthy, so it's grounded. It's not taking flight like air does. My second quote is oh, I think I missed some of it. So like one of the words is missing from the beginning, and I was like, what am I trying to say here? I got it. Time is a quality and weapon of Saturn, a quality of reality without beginning or end. At its worst, we're trapped in time. We continue to move the goalpost, to observe things from a distance, and so we can recognize the nature of things, which gives us great sense of perspective and fleshes out where we fit in amongst the grandiosity. The transcendental perspective in relation to time bound, I'm awake to reframe our lives with Uranian effort to Saturnine things. Time is eternal to understand the realm of knowledge. Bro, I don't know why I wrote that. That didn't make not one piece of sense to me. This is long. I should have worn black for this video. Yeah, man. Dwight's a sun in Capricorn. Like, it's just so obvious. He works hard. He's very determined. You can barely tell this man no. He just won't have it. Like, the persistence is relentless. That's what I think. I think he is a sun in Capricorn. What do you think? I also want to do like his big three just to round it out, because you know we like it to be fleshy. We don't want to, you know. So I'll do his ascendant and his moon as well. I have some ideas for that, of course. But to me, he's Capricorn. Like, there's no one else in the office that like embodies the Capricorn spirit quite like Dwight does. He's reserved. He's kind of aloof. He's good at his job. He tries really hard. He works really hard. He can be fiercely loyal, very protective. He's the natural authority. Like, Dwight's just about his business. Like, at any opportunity, he's always starting new businesses. Like when he tries to build it, this man buys the office building, and then he builds a gym in the office to bring in more revenue. In addition to that, he builds a nursery to also bring in revenue. Dwight is the goat of the office. Okay, that's it. Thank you for tuning in. This is fun. Also, I am also, my name is Remy. Hi. I also am doing 15 for 15. So I'm doing a 15 minute reading for £15. So if you email me your date of birth, the city you were born in, the time you were born, so 3 things, yeah? City, date, time of day, like AM, PM, 6 a.m. to 59 a.m., etc. And then also you can ask me 3 questions, like a genie. So ask me 3 questions and I will answer them for you based upon obviously looking at your birth chart. And if you want to know more, you can holler at me. Yeah, that's it. Have a sweet day. Peace out. 8 down.